afternoon, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Late Night Show with Chichi Styles, now exclusively on Chi TV. You can find us on the Roku TV, on Amazon Fire, and also in your Apple Plus stick. If you have any one of those, you can be able to access Chi TV and watch any of these exclusive shows. Today we are strictly talking to B Squad. B Squad is an exciting group that came out of Atlanta that's been coming together to do some creative things as artists, and they are actually shedding a light on their thoughts on COVID-19, George Floyd, and injustice all around in the world. Take a look at my exclusive interview with B Squad, and we'll be right back after this.
So yeah, y'all know what I'm going to talk about: COVID-19 and George Floyd. That's kind of it. But since I'm a filmmaker, I'm putting together a documentary about filmmaking. I think my questions are going to be based on those two things: COVID-19, George Floyd, and just independent filmmakers, or you have some experience in Hollywood, Keisha, but the middle of it all is this opportunity to tell stories better, opportunity for women, opportunity for African Americans. And so I just wanted to talk about those opportunities and how we can create them for ourselves and how we can take advantage of them, like you guys are doing by doing an incredible show where you're giving people hope. You're talking about past projects, current projects, women empowerment. You're talking about all sorts of cool stuff on your show, and I'm honored to be able to listen to it. Not everyone in the world has heard it yet, but soon they all will, because somehow they think COVID is in the way, so they want to keep people at home again, and that means we got to be listening to stuff that people are putting together for us. So thank you for the work that you're doing. It is massively important for us that you guys are strong, Black, powerful people taking your superpowers and creating excitement for the rest of us. Some people are on the streets using their superpowers. Some people are looting with their superpowers. But look at what you guys are doing with your superpowers. Isn't that amazing? Like giving us good content. Even before George Floyd happened, you guys were talking about it. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's what we wanted. You know what I mean? We wanted to be able to have content that we can bring issues and conversations. I mean, that's the whole point of our show, What They Don't Tell You podcast, is we want to be able to inform and educate people about things that we really don't hear much about.
Right.
We'll hear myths, or we'll hear, kind of hints or things like that, but nobody really knows whether, is it true or if it's not. Well, let's really talk about it.
Right.
How can we know, and what ways can we find out if it's true? So
Right. So I'm going to start with the lady first, Keisha. So tell me a little bit about yourself, your background. I know we have an episode that you guys broke down all your work, and we talked about you guys being kids, and I love that episode because I got to know a little bit about you guys, but I don't know who's who yet. So today I get to see the face and match the face to what I heard, which is awesome. I know Keisha, but I don't know which one's who, and I will find out because someone curses quite a bit. Someone is like just raw on the show, and I'm gonna find out when you guys start. Oh, you don't even look like it. You look okay, good. So Keisha, you start. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, the work you've done, and then you could talk about your role in the show, your current show.
Yeah. Okay. So Keisha Williams. Hi. So for me, I got started acting really, really young. I started when I was in elementary school through doing like theater, school plays, things along those lines. And that's when I just realized I love being in front of an audience. that was like the first time where you could really like feel that magic. And then for me, it translated into modeling as well, because then I got the opportunity to start doing runway. I was doing, little things like in the community, doing stuff through the church, programs and stuff that my mom had found. I signed with my first agency when I was 17, really 16, 17 in Kansas. And then I graduated high school and moved to Atlanta, where I continued to model, do photo shoots, do runway. And then I also did a competition in New York, International Modeling Talent Association, IMTA. So it was a great experience for me to actually find out kind of what the New York industry looks like. And each market is different, right? So going from Atlanta to going to New York is different. I went to LA and spent some time out there, but that was doing some things like along with casting. So fast forward, I met DJ. DJ and I actually worked together as I was trying to retire from the industry, but still utilize my skill set. So I was a teacher working with an agency, and DJ came in as one of the instructors. And so we just kind of continued to network, talk, and it just blossomed into, hey, I've got this project, and I'll let him kind of tell that story.
All right, DJ.
Okay, I'll go next.
Hi, teacher. How you doing?
Well, for me, it started from the beginning. I come from a very diverse family. So on my mom's side, the music industry, very influential in the gospel industry. Stepfather being a legendary gospel artist who actually retired recently and has his own Lifetime Achievement Award.
Nice.
Us being part of legendary and actually nominated artists that we actually sang for, worked with, and then having a family group of our own where I would perform on the weekends in college and come back to college with money in my pocket to continue, classes and so forth. But starting off growing up in the music industry, and then on my dad's side, it was sports, basketball, football, some went to NFL, some went to, collegiate sports and stuff like that. But for me, I wanted to do something different.
Right.
So for me, it started in high school. Was in drama class, one of the first ever drama accredited courses in our school. We had to be the first class. And that's where I found the itch for it, the love for it. And fast forward to college, I went to a school called the New York Conservatory of Dramatic Arts, which back then was called the School for Film and Television. It's in New York City, Manhattan, New York City, sorry. And I milked it for everything, part-time, full-time, nice. Private classes, everything I could do. Before I graduated from the school, I actually was on my first off-Broadway show called Pullman Car Hiawatha. We won an actual Drama Desk Award, which is a prestigious award in New York City. After that, just pursued, theater work and stuff like that in New York. After leaving New York, I ended up venturing off back to my hometown, Delaware, with my family, where I worked closely with he's now a bishop, but he's a national gospel recording artist by the name of Dr. Norman Hutchins. We worked together to create a company called Impact Entertainment, where we did sitcom pilots. We did a game show, 4 or 5 episodes of a game show we created, nice. Plays, music events, things like that, where we had these credited, shows that we produced and directed and wrote and everything. After 5 years, left there, came to Atlanta for 1 year. Was here for about a year, did some small independent work, and then I went to LA. Went to visit LA for 3 days and then decided to stay. And I ended up being there for about 3 years, where I worked security for private lots for like Sony, Paramount, nice. Fox, all these different lots where I did private screenings. So all the movies that came out, I would actually do the screenings and secure the screenings before they were actually sent out to, wow. To the theaters. And did some reality shows. I did court TV shows. I got a phone call one day. I actually booked an agent here in Georgia while I was out there. And I actually, on my third audition, I think it was about my third audition, I booked Sleepy Hollow, which was on Fox. It was a TV series called Sleepy Hollow on Fox, where I got to play a character by the name of Moloch, where it was one of the top characters that were continuously for, monsters. So I was in a costume for up to 4 hours, getting into a costume every week. And I did that for about a season. And after that, I did a play, Head Over Heels, by Lolita Snipes here in Atlanta. Would have Kenny Lattimore, Tamika Scott. I think they've had Tony Terry and so many others that have been a part of it now. But I was one of the first. And after that, amongst
10 years,
fast forwarding, after having over 30 or so projects under my belt, I kind of walked away from the industry, dealing with a lot of what you see now, that it starts to come into fruition. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens in the industry. And someone who actually got to kind of get a witness to that, see a little bit of it, and also get a knowledge of what the industry was, just got tired of it. Someone who actually has been behind the scenes and actually in front of the camera. I wanted to start my own thing. So I walked away, retired, took time off for a few years, but continuously kept working, creating sitcom shows with my partner, Jungle, to doing other projects to help, others. And then this opportunity came up to do a podcast, and they reached out to me and told me, try to create something. And I was like, I got an idea. And I called Keisha, who like she said, we work together. Where I teach on the side as well. I do private coaching, but I came to the agency because I wanted to, teach in an agency as well. And that's where they brought me on. And here we are. And so fast forward to now to where I just gave her a call and I got in touch with Keith, and, we took it from here. So Keith will tell you his part. Yeah.
Guess it's my turn. Hi, everybody. I'm Keith Vance, comedian Keith Vance. I ended up, it's crazy the way the universe works, because I actually ended up linking up with DJ because I worked with his dad for True Green Lawn Care. I'm actually one of the lawn care specialists there, and his pops was like, my son's in all types of entertainment stuff. So that's actually how I got involved with podcasts. But I've been in entertainment pretty much my whole life. Just like Keisha, from plays, I played Dr. Martin Luther King in 5th grade, read the I Have a Dream speech, the most famous part of it, did plays like Half for Sale, a few Shakespeare plays. Moving forward throughout high school and stuff, I got into music really big, started producing beats. I went by the alias of Keith Beats. I was a beat producer, beat maker, songwriter, traveled, made it all the way up to like Maine, got signed to a company called Off the Block Entertainment. But the thing about rap is there's a lot of things that come into play in it. So I was always depending on other people to get some jobs done. Like when it came to mixing, engineering, stuff that I couldn't do all myself.
Okay.
So that is when I decided, I was probably like 28, 29. That's when I decided I was going to try comedy. So I've been doing comedy like 8 years now. I've traveled like all over the United States. I've been to Kentucky. I've met Cat Williams, Seinfeld. I met Robin Williams before he died. Chris Tucker, I've met him a bunch of times. Tyler Chronicle, people from Wild 'N Out. I've been all over the city in Atlanta slinging these jokes. It's something.
Jokes. I like it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm slinging these jokes like it's illegal. I'm trying to tell you, like I got
it gotta be.
But it's a lot of fun. The industry is something that I've just always had a passion for. I feel the same way Keisha does. Like, it's an adrenaline that can't be explained. It's better than food. It's better than money. It's better than, anything that you can possibly think of. That adrenaline of an audience of people accepting you, and not only accepting you, but applauding you.
Right.
So it's something that I've been addicted to since the first time I hopped up there. And we're gonna keep this content coming out. That's what it's all about, is keeping it 100 with everybody and making sure we got something that's not only entertaining but informational. Right. So that's definitely our goal.
So, wow. Who thought of this? The three of you. Who put it together? Oh, that was you.
Wow. We wanted to create something that was kind of honestly, when they came to me and asked me to come up with something, I didn't want to do something alone because I felt there's too much information, and I'm one of the type of people who I don't want to talk about something that I don't really know about.
Right.
And if I'm going to have a show where I want to deal with a lot of different genre, or I would say different styles of the industry, whether it's music, dance, or so forth, I want to kind of have people who come from different backgrounds as well that could share their story.
Nice.
And so I kind of wanted it to be like a morning show. You know what I mean? And and so I came up with this idea, like, it just came to me one day. I was sitting there, you know, kind of writing it together, and I was like, "Oh, B Squad, gotta be tight." Like, you know, create a name for ourselves and blah blah. So I came up with the Trinity, the three. You know what I mean? But I know I had to have a female. It's very important to have a female, you know, point of view. And you always want to have some comedy, you know what I mean? Right. And you always want to have some comedy. You know what I mean? Also, you know, in the midst of us talking about serious topics, you want to make it something that keeps everybody's day going and everybody likes a little laugh. So we wanted to try to do something, you know, where you may see it every day on the radio, but we wanted to try to make it our own, but also be informative. You know what I mean? So what I did was, like I said, I came up with the idea of What They Don't Tell You podcast. I actually pitched the concept. I was talking to one of my family members and telling them what I wanted to create. I'm trying to come up with a name, and they was like, "What They Don't Tell You?" And I was like, "Ooh, What They Don't Tell You podcast. That's tight." And you know, it just came from there. And then you know, once we got together, we just started putting the pieces together, working together to create the format. What topics we don't talk about every day, to, you know, even our promotion and our social media outlets, all that kind of stuff, we all created. It's from bottom up. So we do it together. It's just us three putting all this stuff together, and, you know. It's
pretty cool, because What They Don't Tell You, the title is super attractive. It makes me want to know, well, what are y'all talking about that we don't know about? Like, what is it you're going to say that, you know, it allows me to be kind of inquisitive about knowing what your next topic will be and just following through with the conversation and even chatting back. I think a lot of podcasts, what makes it interesting is the feedback they get. When people are telling you that they like it or they don't like it, or I remember the time you guys talked about Precious, I was like, oh my gosh, I've always thought that, but no one's going to say it, right? And so it was just fun to hear it because, like no one says the stuff. And that's what I love about comedy is like, you can say stuff nobody says and nobody will be mad at you. They'll be like, well, he's a comedian. He can say that. Like, that's kind of, and so you kind of get away with it, but you're telling the truth and no one's going to say. So it's awesome. Very, very nice meeting you guys. I'm sure everyone's going to love you guys. Please make sure you follow this show, and their information is going to be at the bottom of the screen. I want to go into why I called you guys today. I want to talk about COVID-19, but more importantly, George Floyd. It was like a pandemic within a pandemic. We went from we can't touch each other till we're out in the streets. Like, we don't care. And so my question will go to anyone. You guys can take turns to answer. My first question is this going to work? The protesting, and then, you know, going out and is it going to work? Because I got on the phone with a very, very high class lady yesterday who called me after I did, and I was a moderator for the largest African church yesterday. Their leaders came and talked to everybody, and I had a call last minute to do it. And when I finished it, I sent it to her to check it out, and she called me and she was like, "Oh, I don't believe in a lot of the stuff they said." And they're big time. This is like the largest church. They have 900 branches in the U.S. So literally, if you want to get your stuff to anybody in the U.S., they have every city pretty much has a church. That's how big this church is. So, but a lot of people did not agree. We had over 700 people that were in the chat room that did not agree with what some of the leaders were saying, with white silence, with some of the questions I was asking, because I was going to, you know, cross the line and kind of nudge them a bit so we can get the real and not get some superficial answer from church leader. Oh, yeah, we're supposed to say this. But they were encouraging us to go out and march. They were saying, we cannot sit silent. We cannot do this. We cannot do that. But they're 60, okay? We're not 60. But neither are we my daughter's age 20. Where my daughter's like, let's go out. And like, nah, I got video crew out there. I'm not going. My superpower is telling the stories, is interview. I'm going to use my superpower, building wealth. That's my superpower so that I can use that. What's your superpower as a 20-year-old? And I don't think a lot of young people who are protesting are talking about what they can use to do it. Now, this lady who replied me says, you should boycott. boycotts get it done faster than protesting. No one's telling us that. So I want to get your take on the protest period. You can throw in COVID, how that was supposed to have scared us. Maybe this is the time they were supposed to trample on Black folks and we wouldn't have done nothing because we were scared at home. We were all dying in bigger numbers. But here we just flooded the streets. And not just us, everyone came out with us. They're Indians, they're Mexicans, they're Cubans. There are all sorts of people out there with us, even Caucasian people standing with us. Just each of you, tell me your take on if this is going to work, how effective it is or it's not. Just tell us the truth, because that's what we want to hear from celebrities like you who need the people to know what the truth is. Like, y'all are laughing. I can't wait for the answers. So start with Keisha first.
Yes, please start with Keisha first. It's about to go down.
It's about to go down. Give it to me. Give it to other people. They want to hear. They want to hear the truth.
No, I mean, I think it's just funny, like, that. I mean, obviously that we're having this conversation and it's so relevant and it's so timely, but is it going to work is such an interesting question, because I'm like, well, what are we trying to get to work? Yeah. Because I think at the end of the day, right now, there's a lack of clarity and a lack of leadership into exactly what it is that we want people to focus on, right?
Right.
So is it the racial injustice against police brutality? Is it that the scale is not in our favor when we're talking about the legal battle? Because great, we're trying to get some people convicted, but that hasn't happened or worked yet. So are we going to talk about the legal system itself? What specifically are we actually going to focus on? Those are kind of the two things that I look at. And then the biggest thing that I'll say for me that I do think is different this time compared to all the other times is the solidarity of all the other races. Because I definitely feel like at this point, Black people are just so tired of telling the same stories, of what's now signaled and discussed as trauma porn, that, oh, you had to see a video to believe that these things were actually happening in our community. That's what it took for you to come out. Great. So now you tell the story. Because I've been saying it, I'm tired of saying it, and I'm so glad that you're ready to finally speak. But you better make sure you get the message right. Just saying.
Black power. It's true. Direct, and you're next, bro.
I guess DJ wants me to go.
Yeah,
okay.
Go.
I want to say this. I want to say this first off is, power to the people for sure, because that's what I'm seeing now is that a lot of the world is now looking at this as a human thing. Yeah. It's not black or white anymore. And these new generations coming up, they're not buying the black and white thing. There's so many little interracial babies walking up here. There's so much mixture in the world now. These millennials and these people that were born after, like, I'd say 95, 96, these people that were born that later, they're not buying the black and white thing. Yeah. They're looking at it now as like, this is just a problem for human beings.
Right.
Because from what I'm seeing, we have the UK standing up, Tokyo. This is becoming a worldwide thing where people are in the street saying, the injustices that are going on in this country are now just being blatantly put in front of us. Like, America's become so bold that you saw the way that man's knee was on his neck and the way his hands was in his pocket. He was way too calm. The look on his way too solid. He was looking at us like, this is America. We are allowed to kill Black people. This is what we do. This is what we've done. This is what we will continue to do.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is that the entire world has seen the blatant disrespect against not just a Black man, but a human being. Right. I can't even say they're killing us in the streets like a dog. Because if that was a golden retriever and that cop had his knee on a beautiful golden retriever, and we know how the Caucasian people love golden retrievers, someone would have ran over and pushed him off of the dog.
Right.
But I can't even say they're killing us like dogs in the street, because someone would have saved the dog. Yeah. They didn't save that human being.
Yeah.
One thing that I can say is I agree with Keisha 110%. It's time for us to let them start fighting. Let them fight. Let Caucasians, let Asians, let all of them run in the streets and get hit with rubber bullets. I've seen so many pictures of white people that just got tear gassed, rubber bullets, beanbag guns, and they're getting messed up and they're going right back down there like enough is enough. And it's sad that it took this long, but at least it's happening.
Right.
At least it's happening. That's all I can say on that.
Love it.
I'm glad you said that. Because I was like, for so many for so long, Black people have come out for everybody else's causes.
Mm-hmm.
We have been in solidarity for human rights, every other human rights, in whatever divisive culture that they've thrown out there. We've supported every single one. But when it's been something that's happened to the Black community, we didn't have that kind of support, which is where the tiredness came from. And now it's like, I finally got somebody that I can lean on. I think that's the great thing about seeing the protest and seeing the people come together through social media, and then just also in person, despite COVID and all of those misguided.
Right.
And I want to, I'm going to throw a little twist on it, because they always know I pitch a different spin to it because of my background comes from psychology, right? Acting is a form of psychoanalysis. So when I look at things, I look at the understanding, the breakdown, the homework of everything. And the first thing I say to myself, well, first of all, coronavirus. Out of all these viruses that's ever came out in the world, why is this the one that shut down the world? Two, out of all the times that we've seen these police brutality, police beatings, why is this one so important? Or why is these specific one so important when this happens every day in the world? It's not just the first, these are not just the only instances. They've happened all the time. So then I have to ask myself, what is the agenda that is being brought to us when these things happen?
Yeah.
So I always tell people, you have the people saying all lives matter, you have people saying Black lives matter. And what we have to understand is there's a bigger picture that's happening through all of this that we don't understand yet. And a lot of times when people are desperate to have something come out that they don't want to come out, they will use these type of weapons to create distraction. So the killing of Black folk will always be a distraction for the agenda of what's really going on, that has been hurting not just the Black people, but everyone. And so we start separating ourselves because we look at color when I personally believe it's not just about color, it's about power, and it's about money, and it's about class.
Yeah.
Because if you can kill a Black man and piss people off, that takes the eye off of you and what you're doing to everyone. So now we have to watch what we say, because when we don't talk about that this is wrong for Black people and we start diverting to say, oh, it's a problem for everyone, it makes it look like we're saying, oh, Black people don't matter, because to some people that's true. Black people don't matter, right?
Yeah, well, but to the officer who put his knee on his neck, he made a blatant statement,
So now we have to start saying to ourselves, okay, and then, you get the whole concepts of, are people talking about how it may have not have been a real killing. It may have been a setup to make us mad. Then you have the rioters out there who aren't really from here, who are from other states and everything. You tell you about
the fake rioting. I never heard about that. Fake rioting? They're paid to come out and riot? And what? Yeah, make us look bad.
I tell people, the game is chess, not checkers. So you have to understand that to every incident that happens, there's some stuff that we're not hearing about, that we have to understand that there's a bigger picture ahead. So why now?
Yeah, what's next?
Why do they want to cause division now? It's because there's some changes happening, and they don't want it to happen, because all of us coming together is much. What did the movie Planet of the Apes, when he said when you have an open hand, you make less impact, but if you combine it and put it together, you make a stronger blow. So when we come together and say, you know what, something's not right at all, but yet one hand comes out saying, yeah, but y'all don't care about us. It's like, oh, come on, guys. Like, there's people that care about us. We gotta stay on course, because it's about something bigger than that.
And just
because everybody hurts. Yeah. Everybody hurts from something. Black people have been suffering for a long time, but we know economies have suffered, countries have suffered, third world countries have suffered. So there's a lot more issues at hand than just this. Not saying it's not important,
right?
But there's a lot of things involved. So we have to look at the bigger picture and find out what is the main root of the problem and deal with that. And I do believe once we do that, everything else is going to fall into place.
Wow. Man, y'all some powerful people. Do y'all know that? I just want you to know you guys are a powerful combination, because now I want to do a whole nother episode. And I have some questions that are specific, like, some psychological questions that I think a lot of things happen. I'm a very spiritual person. Things happen in the spiritual realm before they actually manifest physically. So what's happening is what we're seeing now is a manifestation of something that's already happened, and something else is happening now spiritually. So if you're spiritually alert, you can tell there's a tension in the spiritual realm. There's a shifting. It's either powers shifting hands, or there's a shifting happening, and we're seeing this reaction outside. People are screaming and this, and I'm like, what is like Keisha said, what is the actual purpose? What's the aim? What are we going to get out of this when all this is done? Is it going to be kids now shooting down cops? Is it going to be what's happening? Cops are dying, people are dying. I mean, what is the next thing that is going to happen, or that we anticipate to happen? But instead of asking that question, I'm going to shift it to our industry and talk about what should we as people, or as professionals in the industry who are independent filmmakers. And Keisha, I could ask you. I could ask you the questions about is this a good time for women to stand up and start asking for equal pay and all those things? But we all know that the time is yesterday. We shouldn't even be waiting anymore. We should be asking for those things, demanding those things, standing in the power that we own and owning it, right? So I wouldn't go there. I'd focus on what is the action that we should be taking as storytellers. And then you guys, and that's the last question, each person giving us, that way our filmmakers and working on some masterclasses and conferences I'd like to invite you guys to be my guest speakers on. And if the right people buy their tickets, we'll make sure we take care of y'all. But I'm working on that next, and developing a group of people who are looking and desiring to get their scripts done and learn about acting and producing and getting projects out. And they're going to need solid coaches. But it's not just about telling another story. It's about telling impactful stories that can change lives. That's what we're all doing here. So I'm looking for creative people who have that passion to use that as their superpower to come on board this series of masterclasses that we'll be doing. And I'd love to have you guys on board. But what should we be doing next as people who have voices and the power to speak or to teach or to film or to create? What is your advice to those people who will be watching this that want to get ready to work on their projects? Keisha? You go first.
Well, no, I'm gonna pass to DJ just because this is something like we were just talking about
that.
Maybe
it's in the spirit, y'all. It's in the spirit. It's in the air.
It was like, what's responsibility?
Yeah, this is a topic I actually wanted to talk about. And so for you to ask that question, it was like, yes! Oh, yes!
Yes.
Right.
But no, because I think it's important because we have, like I told them, we've always talked about before, what we don't realize is entertainment, it deals with the senses. I mean, to each sense, each part of our senses is a part of entertainment, right?
Right.
So it's imperative that we feed those senses to create the mind to react in a special way that sends out those messages to the world so that people can come along, you know what I mean, on the journey. Because like you said, we see change. Right. But what is it that we can do to make that? In our history, we've seen films where we talk about or deal with issues that are happening. We've seen the Fruitvale Stations, we've seen the Amistad, we've seen the all these different movies, and we've seen songs where we talk about incidents of what's going on, Marvin Gaye, all these different incidents. So what I think we need to do is I think we need more of that, but not just so much singling out particular issues. What we need to do is we need to encourage people to come together and have more dialogue, and do that in a artistic way. It's nothing like seeing a film where it brings dialogue. It brings a conversation where you're like, oh my God. The Nat Turner story, when that came out, there was so much dialogue because it was something different than what we're used to seeing, because we've never seen a slave who rose up and fought. We're always used to seeing the regular slave. Yes, I'll wash the clothes, I'll sweep, but we never see the actual slave stand up and fight for what was right, especially someone who was Christian.
Right, right.
There was spin in there that we did, and that's what I love. Spins that you don't see coming, but it's real and it brings truth. And I think that's what we need now. We need artists to come to the forefront and bring, because we're looking at Hollywood. Hollywood shut down.
Yeah.
Hollywood's going to look different when it comes back. It's going to look completely different. But what's beautiful about that is that the independent artist is going to be able to shine even more, because during this quarantine, the independent artists, the Instagram, the social media, all this stuff has helped to propel that.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be important, if not for the independent artists than it is for the mainstream or the Hollywood artists, because we want to hear more voices coming from them than we do want to hear from the celebrities. Yeah,
well, celebrities don't matter right now. Nurses matter during COVID more than anyone else. Now the protesters matter. We want to know the young Black kid, who's 16, who's angry. My daughter was crying, like, Mom, are we going protesting? I was like, girl, I had to talk to her about superpower. I'm like, you want to be an OBGY, you're 4.0 students. What do you have? What's in your arsenal that you can use right now from where you're at without going out there and killing yourself? What can you use to begin to transform yourself into who you need to be, who you're going to allow this thing to turn you into? Are you going to turn into an angry person? Or you're going to turn into somebody who is going to be more empowered about the law? Do you know what to say to an officer when he pulls you over? Can you do those in cute posts and put them on Instagram creatively so others can follow and say, yeah, that's what I should do. I should be polite. I should be this. But so many people have been polite. So many people are educated and they've died in the hands of police officers. So it's no longer just these norms. We have to go about talking about the root, which is what you mentioned earlier. There is a root to the problem. There is a root to the reason why from 2013 to 2019, 99% of the people, the officers who assaulted Black or white or Black people were not charged. From 2013 to 2019, 99 of the officers who did something to an African American were not found guilty or charged. This is crazy.
Yeah, that's gotta change.
So, we have to focus on the power we have within us, because that's what we can build. That's the seed that has been planted and it's been growing, and it's got these, it's like a lemon tree. It's got stuff that we can now squeeze and we can actually have some juice. Right. And we didn't have juice before, but we've got it more than ever. We've got Hollywood shut down. They're not opening back up till next year, but we've got people who are ready to give us money to tell our story. So what are we going to tell? And how do we empower these younger ones to do? So Keisha, talk to me about what you are telling young people right now. What should people be doing that want to be creative? What should my 20-year-old be doing? And these people who are not wanting to run out to the streets, but wanting to do something with their creativity.
Well, I mean, I tell my students, I actually reached out to one of my students now just to say, like, what are you doing? Like, you're in the house, you're shelter in place. Before all of this happened, I'm like, what are you doing to really stir your own creativity? I said, you have no job and you can't go anywhere and you want to be a performer. What are you doing about it? And he was like, I'm just kind of like in the house. And he was like, I kind of like do my scripts or I do my monologues every now and then. I was like, but you use your social media platform for everything else. Why not this? And then he was like, well, I did start talking to some of my friends about putting together some skits and all of that. And now all of these things have started to happen. And I'm like, you are a performer who has a story to tell. Develop the story and tell it from a really real place, like within your own heart. Like, some of these things need to it could easily just be you going live on your own social media channel and telling about the impact and the feelings to your own family. Especially for people who have a mixed culture family. This has created a lot of dialogue that wasn't happening. If you are a person who has friends that are outside of your own culture, have real dialogue with them. Right. Even in my day job, that's what's been happening now, is realizing that the problem was communication. People were never truly communicating the pain that they were really going through. Yeah. The pain that they see and they experience every day with one another, to say, like, these things are really happening to me. And you, as someone who knows me, should know the impact. If you're truly my friend, sometimes it's not fair to be like, you need to know that I'm wounded on the inside. Well, that's not a fair, realistic expectation to have, because everyone can't see inside your heart like that. But performers give all heart. And now would be the time for people to start creating their own content that they could actually, like, give back. working together to create something that would have true impact into this space at this time. Like DJ said, it's the independence, because you have the freedom to create anything without any limitations whatsoever.
You have to worry about nobody filtering or cutting you off. You can say what you want to say.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. All right. And give us our last.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're working with a friend of ours who has he started a production that he wanted to create, the Emmett Till story, the trial of Emmett Till.
Nice.
And he asked me and Chichi to be a part of it. And this is before COVID hit. We actually were about to start shooting the day they started the quarantine. We were actually ready to get up that morning and start our first shot. And by 1 a.m., they told us we had to shut down because of COVID. So we were actually on the right path because, when he presented to us, that's what we thought. We was like, yo, we got to start informing people because we haven't heard a story like that out yet. We haven't seen a film about the brutality of what goes around, because that was such a big
Emmett Till was a brutal thing.
You know what I'm saying? For the civil rights movement.
It was the first time that the world got to see how brutally a black boy.
Right.
He was just a boy, and the way his face looked, that was the first time America saw firsthand. Right. They were able to look at it and say, "Oh my God." Yeah. Then they saw his age, and it was just, if you have any kind of decency, if you have any type of religious beliefs or any type of spirituality or any type of positive energy in you, you can't look at an image like that and not feel something. You have to be a very cold person to not feel something, to see things like that. And I think that's what's happening right now. The very devices that they gave us to monitor us, for us to give them all of our information, we have now turned these very devices against the powers that be. Because now it doesn't matter what your body cam says, because you have 18 youngsters around you and everyone is filming
with the phone.
You can't say it was edited, because I went to Joseph's feed, I went to Amanda's feed, I went to Jarrell's feed, and it's all the same thing. You killing the same person. So now I think that the one thing that we should be telling the younger artists and any artist or anybody out there that really wants to get a message out there, one, say it. Don't be afraid to say it. Because what I'm noticing right now is Facebook, they are snatching things off the internet so fast. Yeah. If it doesn't, you can...
Their guidelines.
How you feel.
You can't even say a certain word.
Yeah, you can express how you know. The other day, I commented on someone's post and it said, "We're all sick of cops killing us." And Facebook took it off. They took it off. Wow. And they said that because I put cops killing us together, they said they couldn't put it on there. It goes against their standards. And I'm like, but it's just a fact.
Right.
That's literally a fact. You can see it on film. So what they're already starting to do is making it to where you can voice your opinion, but you're going to only voice it the way that we think it should go with our agenda. Right. So I just want to let
Trump passed that law about allowing people to say what he wanted. I don't think it's gone fully into effect, but he signed it. And it was basically because Twitter was trying to fight him on what he could say and censor him. And he was like, Twitter, I will shut you down. He signed it, right, I think a couple of days after George Floyd passed away, which they were wondering, you're signing this, somebody just died. He signed it, and it's apparently supposed to allow us to say what we want to say and not stop us from talking. But
I think that's on Twitter. And I'm telling you, Instagram, they are tightening the strings because remember Mark Zuckerberg, what's his name?
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah, he's a sucker. But anyway, he's tightening the strings. You know what I'm saying?
But I think it's going to change. I'm telling you, Twitter is just a start, but I think it's going to cross the board because it just like I said, it's like a domino effect. You got to hit one to hit the others. Yeah. And I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
We're already seeing it now. People don't, and that's the frustrating thing about me so much is that we can get so mad, we'll get so upset, but we don't do our homework.
So we can know.
Due diligence and homework because you do not know what's going on, and then therefore you want to blame certain people, and you're not even paying attention to who's really doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And so then when it comes out, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear how. I didn't. No, you knew. You just was ignorant.
Homework. Yeah.
Just believe what you want to believe on TV, and all of us, we talk about it all the time. You can't trust the television. You can't trust
it. You can't take nothing.
Can't trust
take nothing at face value.
Yeah,
for sure.
Oh,
But I also want to say that when dealing with anybody, some of these younger people and anybody out there, when you're dealing with police, don't be scared of them. You cannot, because that's the first thing that they get off on.
Yes.
They love it when you're terrified of them and so scared. Be polite. They're just doing their job. And if you are going to jail, go to jail. Right. I've been in a hotel and I bonded right out, took it to court, got the charge dropped because I was smarter than that. I'm not about to sit here and let this ignorant person bring me down to their ignorance. Fine, I'm going to jail. Yes, sir. Leave my hands behind my back. That's fine. Let's go ahead and go to jail. I'll see you in court. Went to court, got a job. So be smart enough to not allow them to make you into the animal that they want to kill. Right. That's the first thing. Speak with some authority. Yeah. Speak with respect. Let them know, hey, I'm respecting you, but what I'm not going to do is incriminate myself. And what I'm also not going to do is act like a fool out here so you can kill me. So if I'm going to jail, let's go. If not, then let's go ahead and finish. You want to bring the dog out, search my car, do whatever you need to do, sir. Mm-hmm. I'm not resisting. I'm not saying anything bad. Do what you need to do. A lot of times being silent is your best bet when you're dealing with the police. Answer their questions. Once you've answered every question they need, say, I don't have to say anything else. I plead the fifth, sir. That's all I want to say. If I'm going to jail, I understand. But I, at this point, plead the fifth. And just shut the hell up, because I promise you, when you get to court, some of these judges now, they're looking at some of this stuff. And they're literally like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is just a waste of my time, the court's time, everyone's time. And I think I've talked about this, about how they are scaring people into taking charges. Right. Yeah. They're scaring them. And it's like, I hate to say I've been in this much trouble to learn the way that I learned that a hard head makes a soft bottom. Right. And I got a hard head. But what I have learned is when you get in there, if you just stay calm, you get the correct representation. The law, I'm definitely not going to say it's on our side, because it sure as in hell isn't. But the law is in place for reasons. And as long as you go by their protocol and just pray to God that you're not just when someone's going to kill you no matter what, because that does exist. We have clearly seen there's people that don't resist and still die. So like I said, you have to make sure that you keep your sense of intelligence throughout the from the moment those lights come on, start recording right then. Set your phone down, be polite, have everything ready. I won't even take off my seatbelt. When cops pull me over, they're like, can you take your seatbelt off? Nope, sure can't. Reach over me and grab it, sir. I'm black and want to live. I don't care. I guess what you want to do. I make the officer reach over me, unbuckle me, and you can pull me out the car because I'm not moving. I'm like mannequin mode.
Right. Before you say I reached for something or I did this or that. Yeah.
We also have to remember too that we can't. And I gotta say this carefully because I watched Candace Owens just do a video, and the problem is she wasn't all the way wrong to me. She had a point. It's just about timing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not right for no one to be murdered in that way, cold-blooded. But if you're someone who has a past that is dark, you can't expect to have a good outcome in the end. And what I mean by that is like, a lot of times we'll jump to straight, police brutality, but this person could have been someone who literally just did 3 crimes just about an hour ago.
Right.
So you're a threat to society because you weren't worrying about caring about your rights or trying to protect the black folk when you was over there robbing another black person or murdering another black person.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that it's not, we can't just stop at that. Police brutality. We have to go amongst, it's even to ourselves.
That brings you back to home.
Right.
Because a lot of these videos, it starts at the height of the escalation.
Right.
So I get it, DJ, because sometimes he was literally fighting the cops.
Right.
And the cops had to fight that.
Right.
They don't show that part. They just show when he started losing against the cops.
Because we do have good cops out here. Let's not. I can't say all. So we have good cops out here. But we're just asking you guys, one, everybody has to be accountable for everybody.
Yes.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Especially civilians have to be accountable with our actions, right? And then the cops who are good, you have to check those who aren't. You know what I mean? You have to be there and say, look, guys,
they should be held accountable as well. If a good cop sees that happening, he should be held accountable.
Right. Yeah. I was like, there shouldn't be bystanders and law enforcement at the same time.
Yep.
Like you can't be in law enforcement and you're supposed to enforce the law and watch someone not uphold the law or the badge that you represent, and then you just stand in the back like a bystander.
Right, yeah.
Watch that show play out when you know that that's wrong. But that happens because there are politics behind that. And ultimately, fear. Fear, for whatever reason, prevented a good man or a man from being good. How about that? Because I don't know if he's good or not, but if it prevented you from being a good man and doing what was right, or doing your job to the fullest of your capability, then a lot of these scenarios wouldn't happen, because none of these cops are ever out there by themselves. They always call for reinforcement.
That's always a gang.
Because those cops in George Floyd, I don't think they were all white.
They weren't. One of them, it was his 4th day. It was his 4th day on the job. And guess who his training officer was? Buddy with his knee on his neck. Buddy with his knee on his neck was his.
This is how we do it. This is how we do it, buddy. Yeah, that's how we do it. We put our knee on him. All right, that's how we do it. Let it line up. Really? He's just looking like a deer with his headlights on. He has no. He knows that's wrong. He knows it's wrong. It can't be wrong.
It's like, no, this is protocol.
This is what you're supposed to do.
And that's the thing.
I have to bring you guys back. I have to bring you guys back for a consistent episode. Like, I want to talk about boycotting, because apparently that gets stuff done faster than protesting. And, you know, when we decide to all buy black or buy minority, or, you know, put black money back into our black communities, it might just be more powerful than the
protest. Why does that have to happen? Why does that have to happen when somebody dies? We should be doing
saying, like, well, that's someone, a very top lady, very wealthy woman told me yesterday that moves faster than protests. Protests, you take up to 8 years to change laws with protests. Boycotts, you can get something done faster. But she was just speaking from what she knows as a wealthy black person in the United States. But that's another day. I'm just saying, you guys did so well today. My time is up. I don't want my computer to just die on the conversation, but I enjoyed it so much. I want to continue. I have to bring you guys back to talk about the pros and cons of protesting and boycotting. I think maybe we can do that next week. So I think people want to hear, and then maybe talk about the end goal, more of the end goal. Specifically, what do we want? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what we want at full length to detail, maybe next week or the following week. But I've enjoyed you guys so much. Oh, much love. Thank you for the amazing show. Everyone, at the bottom of the link, you can see their show, where to find them, because they're totally awesome. They play weekly, and they're really good. Really, 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 really good. Thank you, Keisha, DJ, and Keith. It was such a pleasure. And my love to Jungle for putting this together. And bye, you guys. I'll see you guys next week or soon. Thank you again for all the work that you do and the great words you've given us.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you again. Bye.
That was such an exciting interview with the B Squad. That's Keisha, DJ, and Keith. These are amazing people who are changing our times during COVID. They're taking it on to be able to teach you guys something at home. And so to get an exclusive with them, join us at www.flixreps.com. FlixReps is a platform that allows you to learn and actually practice. So if you get to take one of their classes and learn how to write, you'll actually be in a writing team. If you get to do some comedy with Keith, you actually be on a comedy show. If you get to do some acting and train yourself, you'll be on a film or some type of project with Keisha. So jump on www.flixreps.com. You'll find attorneys there. You'll find sponsorship classes. You'll find all sorts of people teaching you things about production, because it's all about being artistic, especially during these times, and how can you create art in your own little space when you're not able to mingle with so many people. Thank you again for joining us in this exciting show and this episode. Thank you to my sponsors, those who advertise with us, and who watch us as consistently as possible. Thank you to our team that puts it together in the background. I am Al. I'm your host, Chichi Styles. Don't forget to watch Chi TV, where we're exclusively running season 3 and other exciting episodes that have never been seen before. Watch us on Roku, Amazon, and Apple TV Plus. See you guys next week. Bye.